There we go. Pink Cloud Radio, a round table, and Jax Questionnaire again.
Thank you for having me back. So, you should start off with the poem that you were telling me about.
Okay. The one I wrote with your title?
Sure.
Okay. Cut deeper. Equal rights, a burning light, to love whenever the heart feels no more fights can be done. An inch of a mouthful at hometown buffet feels so far away. Nothing clouds judgment more quickly than to bury a hatchet and assume everyone's function. Busted computer can be fixed, believing that also can be done with me. Evil and good worked on by the same people, fighting for rights so you all vote the same way. Never touch on a subject that started with genocide and slaves. It's cut deeper with happy tales, rewritten tall tales so you accept the abusive relationship's life. My heart can't be replaced with a knife. Stomped down by Godzilla and King Kong, mouthful of mud treats me better than reputation takes over your mind. Thin lines are written on paper for a reason, with no open lines, with no open minds. Your writing's as flimsy as the paper you've written it on. Security is first thoughts with fists burning rubber. By the hate and attacks because you can't fight back. Nothing worse than to believe that kids don't lie when they're taught by their parents to fight. Rebelling against the rebel distinctly shows you're just as controlled. Video games play infinitely better things than a conversation. Nothing I could say would matter. It's cut deeper with happy tales, rewritten tall tales so you accept the abusive relationship's life. My heart can't be replaced with a knife. Instincts and history can tell you more. Work with evil that's come out now means all up top are united and burn down their own people. Deserts and oil hitchhike in places that is only part of a board game. The biggest arms dealers for the world have branches that lead to the evil defined by our TV. Fear is not healthy if you let it keep your mouth shut and only fight for the rope that you'll hang yourself with. Purpose is not a place that means you matter. Tell that to Saddam Hussein and all the WMDs we gave. Create hostiles whenever they don't want to comply. I seek truth in its dirty soul, while the lies gives comfort by a plastic chemical pill. It cuts deeper with happy tales, rewritten tall tales so you accept the abusive relationship's life. My heart can't be replaced with a knife. Fire brought down towers and science changes only on one day. The academics have never created any scientific finds the right way. A prison is built to reinforce fear, to know you can be replaced. Missions and charities give only 20% to what they take. I can't text message the way you would respond is all grim. You know this truth, but say, don't tell my children. There are no martyrs if we all really felt the same way, scared and not fearful to be treated lower than a rapist at their execution. Pulling up optimism by saying we all can do so much good, but take all that you say and do your own actions the other way. Real optimism offers no ultimate goal, giving things that others should do but never do it yourself for revenge. A winner's story has been told to you. The replacement has no effect on how you live. Instead, take drugs, drink up, saying fuck love. A fist to your face means more than if we sat by a fireplace, burning all the wood in the chimney. I can see those orange flames be the two of us in love. A heart never offers the conclusion or an absolute. That's why I'm not with you. Cuts deeper to see blood than for the two of us to feel each other's love.
I really like that one line, purpose is a place that does not mean you matter.
I think that's what it was, right?
Yeah.
Oh, purpose is not a place that means you matter.
Oh, purpose is not a place
that means you matter.
Okay. I like it.
Nice.
Yeah. So is there anything else you want to say about that, or it's all said in the poem?
I think it's all said in the poem pretty well.
I like your use of repetition. Like, it's always different in different poems, but you bring it back somehow.
Yeah. I always try to end it, too, with kind of making more on the subject, too.
Yeah.
On the repetition.
So, I know we had this discussion before, but I want to rehash it. And I want to rehear your answer. So let's talk about the difference between being afraid, being scared, and being fearful.
Okay. Well, I guess I'm wondering which one to go to first. I guess I could go to the one that I understand better.
Okay.
Like being scared.
Okay.
It's awesome.
It's awesome. Okay.
You've experienced everything through being scared, I think. Because it's when... It's like... being scared is when you ultimately went through every feeling. And I think that's when it makes you see something completely and know that you are, like, it's time. Maybe for me it was time to move on the last time it happened, but that was because of, I think, knowing that it's one-sided, or knowing that something is just what you're experiencing can make you scared.
Okay. And then, do you want to talk about that being scared and how it affects being dependent on an action or dependent on paralysis? Like, does fear create dependence or create paralysis, or what are the correlations for you?
Fear, oh man, I think it creates both and more.
Right.
Because it's like the dependence is based on why you're keeping your mouth shut, and then why you're in paralysis. It's like all of it. It's never based on how you can solve it. It's always based on how someone else can solve it for you. So I think that's what the big difference between fear and being scared is. When you're scared, you can solve it yourself still.
Okay, so you have more control when you're scared.
Yeah.
But fear is dependent on someone else's action.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that. So let's talk about that and, like, kind of reconnect it with what we talked about last time, routines.
Yeah.
So if you continue to be scared about one thing, does that create a routine for other situations in your life?
I don't know. It matters how you keep handling it, too. I think it has to do with what we talked about before we got on. Just how, like, if you kind of limit or kind of put a certain amount of time or what you can deal with in your life, then it can affect it, and it's probably not being scared anymore. I think you've now created more of a dependency on what others do too. So I think it's now fear of what else you can experience, or what else has been experienced, I guess.
Yeah, I have a quote here from Libra Bray that I was telling you earlier, from the Sweet Far thing. I feel small and insignificant, yet larger than I've ever felt before. And I've been telling you that I feel this recently.
Yeah.
And I feel it intensely. And it's I think it's the awareness of how insignificant we all are.
Yeah.
But yet, as we become aware, I feel kind of stronger in a way.
Yeah.
So it's this constant tension that happens. Do you ever feel that way, or what is that for you?
I think it's the same thing for me, because I think that's where I've created all my writing and even the pink cloud now.
So what was your purpose of creating the pink cloud? Having a space to talk about things that you want to talk about, or was there, like, a significant purpose?
I don't know if there was a significant purpose, but I think there's many purposes. And I think I kind of started it because of doing my audio for so many years. It just made me clear up and finally use it in a I guess, more functional space.
So functionality is important
I think in certain ways.
in certain ways. I don't know, like, a lot of people throw around words like, what are the functions?
Yeah.
Is it reliable? Is it logical? Is it practical?
I don't think anything is practical or even functional.
Really? Well, let's talk about shoes. Like, women's shoes. Like, some women's shoes are very, like, practical.
Yeah.
And some are very not practical. So, I mean, there are those things.
Yeah.
But are you talking more about, like...
I don't know if they are. Because a lot of them are cheaply made when they carry our whole body.
Right.
I think
So, do you believe in the idea that to buy something of quality costs more money?
not necessarily. Not if quality is important. Rather than selling and competition, and it matters what's on the mind of the people developing it.
Right. So the creator gets to put the value
Yeah.
on what he or she creates. So I can, like, I don't know, make a piece of crap and be like, this is great!
Yeah.
Give me $1,000 for it.
I think that's why I don't charge or try to make my pink cloud in any more space than freely on YouTube.
That's a good, like, so the creator gets to put a value on what he creates. But does that creation, is that dependent on how people receive it, or does what he put, the value he places upon that object or thing remains?
It can be both ways, I think.
Okay. So we go back to relativity.
Yeah.
It's all relative. So early on, we're talking about this.
Because, like, I think about, like, with my pink cloud radio, it's gonna matter if it matters to everybody else.
But it matters to you.
Yeah. But then, yeah, see, it matters to me too, so it's like, I'm pulling at both sides.
Yeah.
Come in, only if you want to.
Come in, only if you want to. Oh, that's the story of my life right now. Come here, but only if you want to. If you don't, that's okay too. Oh, here's a quote from Fernando Pessoa that I really like. I'd wake up really early, and then I took a really long time to get ready to exist.
Nice. Wonder.
So, just because someone wakes up early, does that mean they're ready for the day to begin?
No.
No, they're just up early.
Yeah. I think that's me.
That's you?
In many ways. I get up, but I don't know if I'm ready. I think I'm ready as soon as I'm ready.
Yeah. You should really read this. It's called The Book of the Disquiet. And Pessoa, he has like 75 voices that he writes by, but they're like pseudonyms or whatever, but it's really who he is. Like, he internalized these voices. It's not something he puts on, it's something he lets out.
Yeah.
And only about 4 of them are popular, but I think you'd really like it.
Nice.
Is there anything you want to ask me today?
Well, hold on. Got a call. Hello? Hey, Mom. Good.
Tell her to say hi.
Yeah. Mom, she says hi. Yeah, she says hi, too. Happy New Year and everything.
Oh, so. Thank you.
Yeah? Okay. Okay. No problem. I love you too. Dio benediga. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Okay.
We always get your mom. Awesome. Alright, well, I'm gonna read a poem from Frank O'Hara that I just read to you earlier, but I would like to read it on here.
Yeah.
Let me find it. Well, so I was telling Marcello that I've been reading a lot of poems lately and not looking for very simple messages, and like we're talking about cliches or something like that.
Yeah.
And trying to like kind of reevaluate the cliches and, you know, think about like at one point it wasn't a cliche when it was first said, and why do we keep saying these things, and like repetition. So through repetition we sucked out the meaning.
Yeah.
Or, you know, like through repetition we neglect to see the meaning behind.
That's from a movie I watched too, called The Bucket of Blood. One of the poets says that in the movie. Repetition is death. When you repeat something, you're reliving a moment.
Okay. Well, Gertrude Stein would oppose to that. Yeah. She said, through repetition, you transform the same object to something more spectacular.
That's true.
So this poem is by Frank O'Hara. It's entitled As Planned. After the first glass of vodka, you can accept just about anything of life, even your own mysteriousness. You think it is nice that a box of matches is purple and brown and is called La Petite and comes from Sweden, for they are words that you know, and that is all you know, words, not their feelings or what they mean, and you write because you know them, not because you understand them, because you don't. You're stupid and lazy and will never be great, but you do what you know, because what else is there? And when I read that, like, I've read it over and over again, and I'm just like, wow. That's what we do, right? We just do what we know, and we do what we think we know, and we write these words, and we sit there, and we tell ourselves we know what they mean, but we don't really. They're given to us.
That's true.
These words have existed before we understood them or like incorporated them into our vocabulary, and they will continue to change once we are gone.
That's true.
So
when you change them, they change us too.
Right. So do you think we really choose what words we use?
In some ways. I don't know. It matters how you... I guess with Frank O'Hara's poem, he would say that, in his mindset at that point, it's like saying that everybody controls what they write. Right. Not everybody does, though, I think. Yeah. That's like saying everybody thinks before they speak.
Well, even if you don't think before you speak, where is that speech coming from then? Maybe it's just a quicker thought than...
There's many different ways of thinking, I think, too. Yeah. There's instincts, there's so many things even that we've forgotten over the years, too, that develop us now because we're stuck in houses and computers and everything else. Yeah. In a lot of ways, a lot of things were lost, maybe, too.
So, another one of my favorite... author or writer, poet, is Anais. Yeah. And not only am I fascinated about how she perceives the world, I'm very fascinated about how she writes about what she perceives. And she's most known for her, I guess, her diaries. Yeah. And how explicit they are, and, you know, how dangerous and exciting they are. But, of course, I'm mostly interested in her affair with Henry and June. Do you know that story?
I don't know if I do.
Okay, I'll remind you, and I'm pretty sure you're familiar with it. So what happened is she's a writer in Paris, and, you know, Henry Miller is an American writer who goes to, you know, the Paris in that time, in the 1920s, and they meet and they fall in love, and, you know, he has a wife in America named June, and at some point Anais Nin goes to America to visit him, and she's like the other woman coming home, and I guess she was just so nonchalant about it, you know, like, so what, I'm the other woman, like, his wife doesn't need to know, and I don't really care if I ruin their marriage because it's probably already ruined, or
Yeah.
you know, so and so. And so she walks in, and the first time when she saw June, like, she fell in love with her. So she goes to the house of a man she's having an affair with, only to fall in love with his wife. And so the big thing about it is that June falls for her too. But June is she's paralyzed by the fear of how she feels for Nin.
Yeah.
And they struggle. And here's a quick...
I remember it now.
Yeah. I think it's beautiful. Like, I don't know, we always categorize ourselves as, like, you know, the wife, the husband, the girlfriend, the boyfriend, the other woman, the other man. But really, are we that? You know what I mean? Like, are we just reduced to those titles? Or when we're together, we're more to that other, you know, to that person. Even if it's just for, like, an hour, you know? So here's a quote that Nin wrote about June. I don't hear your words. Your voice reverberates against my body like another kind of caress, another kind of penetration. I have no power over your voice. It comes straight from you to me. I could stuff my ears, and it would find its way into my blood and make it rise. So this is, like, I guess, Nin was very open about her sexuality and about the experiences of her sexuality.
Yeah.
But with June, like, she didn't get a chance to, like, be physical with her in the beginning. And so, and what struck her was that she didn't need that from June.
Yeah.
She felt all this, like, electricity and, like, lust and just all this love from not touching.
Yeah.
And then she explores that. And I just think that is so beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, to wholeheartedly be affectionate and smitten.
Without being affectionate.
And yeah, you know, like, because like you said before, like, we're so worried about the physical act that we don't really get to enjoy the other person's presence.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Well, I'm enjoying the presents right now.
Yeah. You should read your other poem. I want to hear it too.
Okay. What was the other one? Residue composer. Tones and the beats formed into the ideal stretch of a song never run. Records, cassettes, CDs fill the meaning by a title evolved from emotional dependency. Courage to express is also seen as a means to impress. Taxes, donkeys, and elephants fight all the same. Drag my brain and heart in the dark to see what you will find. An electric signal and the notes written on a keyboard don't threaten or sacrifice until my fingertips touch you. Inside, mucked up, left by a busy world that designs you to see me by reputation. I can't live with that. I can't live that way. I'm a residue composer, writing emotions that never enter the norm. Collect the used, threats, and bloody wrecks of people telling me to bite down on anything that's free. Fad or phase, words used so you can act underage, but not enough under the age to have an open mind to be with me in my place. Do you want to remember how you threatened me? Built apart because reasonable life is just sex every night? No subjective mental state helps you better. Mine is objective and you tell me to know better. Surrender to someone that loves you like a prisoner. An inch of sacrifice means nothing if all that's one it is to call it wrong. Being used is always what they thought of you. Needing a prerequisite in a relationship means that's the end of it. Never mind, my memory lasts. I won't let a ton of bricks fall on you like parents will do. Insecurity hurts more when I really don't want to hurt you. I'm a residue composer, writing emotions that never enter the norm. Collect the used threats and bloody wrecks of people telling me to bite down on anything that's free. My emotions hold more animals than Noah's Ark. Every little bit has not turned or left because of what I remember before it. Dangling every inch of the cheese for each rat and mouse, though they burn down and bite down every time. No ownership could manage the success we could have made. All the bushes are burning and the skinwalkers are out to hurt me. Genuine falls into failure by the ice-cold lies that sinks your ship like the Titanic. I could believe the lies, use you, be stubborn, call you dirt, and kick your face in until I am vacant. Any imagination or reality relates to push away. What I feed myself will go away. Buried toilets far away, so the need to understand the rest of you. I can't respect you, though inside and out I do. It's that your world's fucked up and I'm not responsible. I'm a residue composer, writing emotions that never enter the norm. Collect the used threats and bloody wrecks of people telling me to bite down on anything that's free. A dateless attempt to bring you in. Flowers and parents have more success than if I gave you a kiss. Beginning, middle, end. Have a wish that a sequence could not encourage what you do with me. A burned-up funeral or casket fills your life before you die. Make a warrior out of jealous types. Brought down walls of Russia within my lifetime. I can't try if all you do is stand there and let anyone else give you their charm. Shame and sanity, all gone away. With any damage, it doesn't make comfort, it takes it all away. Telling my heart to break apart when I hear you've been raped or molested in the dark. A free call in prison can't replace what's made you the victim. Biting down on fast food is not at all what you're a part of. Tug of war against love. Maybe the threat has turned your pistons to never change. I can't run away. My emotions don't hurt as much as all the ones you take away. I'm a residue composer, playing old hits that you'll never know. Hits to my heart burn softly as your answer turns to get equal rights by people you have to write against every night. An agreement to hear all your pain. Together in my heart the blood bucket cuts off pieces of the love given to you. The water's too thick with shit to believe how intimate I can be. Engaging usefulness, options, and solutions will never be introduced to you. The feeling of being used is gone from you. Threats roll right off like snowballs during wintertime. Arguments don't offer you compassion, so you never try. Never bite down on people. It's never a thing I see in you. Watching emotions sneak up to only act just the same. Bite down on habits rather than a long date.
I really like that. I felt that it was a great transition to what we were talking about, like the whole idea of being, just enjoying someone's presence versus their physical body. So I remember last time we talked about the idea of moments and fragments.
Yeah.
And I have a quote from Virginia Woolf from her novel Night and Day that I like to share.
Nice.
Why, she reflected, should there be this perpetual disparity between the thought and the action, between the life of solitude and the life of society? This astonishing precipice on one side of which the soul was active and in broad daylight, on the other side of which was contemplative and dark as night.
Nice.
So I guess, she's talking about the disparity of dichotomies, of, the idea of being alone and being a part of society.
Yeah. I wrote that in one of my poems, too, about that. You could be in a concentrated city and be alone. Actually,
in Residue Composer, early on, I was writing it, but I couldn't keep up. Inside, mucked up.
Yeah.
What was the rest of that?
Nice. Where did I write that? Inside mucked up, left by a busy world that designs you to see me by reputation. I can't live that way. Oh, that's a long one, huh?
Designed.
Left by a busy world that designs you to see me by reputation.
Right, so...
As you can see, I'm not for reputation.
Right, because reputation is what you said, looking for the outside to define something on the inside.
Yeah.
So, for example, instead of getting to know you, I go and collect all these thoughts about you.
Yeah. That's like me going around, hey, Marcello's like this. Wait a minute, you're Marcello.
But I guess by acknowledging that, we're acknowledging that to you, I am a different friend versus to, John and Mary. I guess we underestimate how different we are with certain individuals.
Yeah. To each other.
and to each other, because I feel and depending on the day too, I just feel like I'm always the same person, but I deliver myself in a different way when I'm around someone, you know, versus a group or... And I guess that's compartmentalizing, isn't it? But I don't feel, though, you know what I mean? Like, it's...
Well, I don't know if it is compartmentalized. Sometimes it's what I talked about the other time, which is like everything's the center point. And I think every center point is different because, like you said, when we meet somebody, even, it's a different experience. We're not in the same, I guess, we're not in the same place as we were in another time.
Right.
So I don't even know if it's compartmentalization because I don't know if we can compartmentalize our whole lives inside of us.
No, we can't.
I don't think I can. Oh, man. I think I would be dead by now if I did that.
Yeah, it's very difficult. So I was, I don't know, I was peeing somewhere.
Oh, okay.
And this kid, I have the worst experiences in, like, restaurant bathrooms where, like, I always try to get the handicap stall because I need space.
Yeah.
But I never get it. So somehow I gravitate towards the stall next to the handicap store. And in the handicap stall, there's always a mother and a child. And the child will always go under to say hi to me. And I know this. But I
still do it.
I still do it. And I still get surprised. Like, literally one time, the child crawled completely over to my stall and just looked at me. And I didn't know what to say. I couldn't even scream. And the mother was like, come back, come back. And then, you know, like a couple nights ago, a little boy came over and he looked at me. He's like, hi! And I was like, ah. And then his mother was like, come back, you know, Johnny or whatever his name was. And he's all like, no, I am a captain without a boat. I cannot come back. And then he actually went from my stall, not back to his mother's, but to the next one, and said something else.
Oh, man.
But I don't know, I kept thinking about what he said. I am a captain without a boat. And then, as I was driving home, I felt like, I feel like a boat without a sailor. A boat without a captain.
There we go. You found a boat.
I found a boat. I don't know, like, do you ever feel, like, if you could be any object, inanimate object, what would you be? Or are there any inanimate objects that you gravitate to?
That's a good question. Because I think it's different. I don't know if I've ever gravitated towards an object like that.
Right.
In that way.
In that way.
Because I think... I don't know. That's a hard thing to say.
Like, you know how when you go over to someone's house for the first time, and this is one of my, like, pet peeves. I come into someone's house and they automatically leave me in a room, whether it's their bedroom, the living room, or the kitchen, and they go to another room, right? And they're like, I'll be right back. And it takes them, like, 20 minutes. And I'm like, where are you going? You're like, and so what do you do? So you either sit there and like, I'm not going to touch anything. I'm not going to touch anything. Or like, and then so you look around, you know, and there's usually a shelf or a drawer and there's stuff on it. So you look at it. So I noticed that there's always one thing on the desk that I gravitate to. And I wonder why. Mm-hmm. Like right now as I'm sitting here, I'm looking at your entertainment center. And my eye just gravitate towards that glass bottle with what looks like another glass bottle inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like, see, like out of all the other objects, like why do I look at that one?
That's a good question. I'm trying to piece together objects right now. So.
Yeah. But
I guess that would. The easiest way out.
The easiest way out. Is there an easy way out? Ever?
I can be created, I guess. But then it matters what's easiest for you or what you can call easy.
Right.
Like when I brought up in the poem about fad or phase. That a lot of times can be like putting a name on something makes something easy sometimes.
Well, I feel like...
Or makes you think it's easy.
Right. When someone's saying, like, oh, I'm going through a phase, I feel like they're trying to prep me up for an excuse for how they feel.
Right.
Because they're not ready to, I guess, own that emotion.
Yeah. And
they're like, just hold on. Just give me some time. I will get over this, you know?
Getting over what?
Yeah. And without really explaining what it is. Or maybe, like, we reduce it to that emotion and we place a negative connotation on certain emotion that we feel, and then we rush ourselves to get over it without really allowing ourselves to feel it fully.
I think it's the opposite.
Really?
I think they're experiencing it fully, and they're putting that negative on top of it, but that's what makes it, I guess, what you said in many ways, there might be a truth to that too. I'm thinking about it because I'm seeing both sides right now.
Right.
But I'm also seeing that they're experiencing it fully, but there is no way to express it now, or it's like, it's almost like they're creating an assumption to answer everything in a way. Just
That's true.
Like, because it's not only them they're answering for. They're answering for you. I guess.
That's true.
Which I agree with, because I don't think that's answering for me. I think it's harder to answer for somebody else.
Of course.
Yeah.
It seems easy, but not really. I mean, if you truly want to answer for them.
Have you been asked to? I don't know.
Yeah. And then there are those people who look for people to answer for them because they're incapable of answering for themselves.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Oh, man. Responsibility.
Responsibility. We had this conversation.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's so much, though, that it's like it's almost like owning up to the unknown. Like, not wanting to experience the unknown of what you can do. Like, being adventurous is one thing, but I don't think if you are not capable of doing that part and see it from somebody else, that being adventurous doesn't really mean anything. And maybe that's the capability you have, but that's it. You're not able to experience the unknown that you have. You're able to experience the unknown of the outside.
Yeah. Remember when I was talking to her and she was like, I don't know, telling me about how she felt.
Yeah.
Like, she keeps telling me she wants to avoid the situation, but yet
she's in it.
She's in it. And, I don't know. She tells me that we need to define, boundaries. And then she says that even if there is a boundary, and if we can define the boundary, she will not abide by the boundaries. And I asked her why she abided to a certain other set of boundaries and why she's asking for mine. And she says that she wants me to stop talking to her if she talks to me. Like, she keeps saying that if I call you or text you, I want you not to reply. That is what I want from you. And so I told her, like, that means that you're pushing all the responsibility onto me.
Yeah.
And then I said that I've decided that I can't stop talking to you
Yeah.
if you talk to me. And she's all like, but then that's me pushing responsibility on her.
Yeah.
And then she said, okay, I guess I'll abide by your decision.
Yeah.
But she'll text me out of the blue sometimes and then just goes away completely.
Yeah.
And I'm at the point where I don't want to run after her. You know what I mean? Like, so.
Well, there's so many actions happening at once.
Yeah.
That it's... When there's so many actions happening at once, you can't really be a person of action in many ways.
Yeah. So. So what are you thinking?
It's like having a heart attack on your own.
It's Is it possible to be in sync with someone even if they're not next to you?
Yeah.
How is that possible? Or is it even possible to be in sync with someone?
I think it is. But being in sync doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to do the same thing.
No.
You can be in sync with responsibility that isn't yours in many ways. Like, that's what happened with me.
Yeah.
With finding out that, well, whoever had texted me as Kat's boyfriend a while ago, it changed something that I couldn't do. I couldn't speak to my senses for Kat anymore because of that. Because someone that I saw an image of, so I knew something was happening, that someone else was taking the responsibility for her, for me. And then she told me later, why didn't she text me if I had felt something? And I said, well, that's why that already happened. I think a lot of times people's actions can repeat, can create another inaction, or create, like, I guess what would I call it? Like a quiet solitude.
A quiet solitude. Do you feel like there's a difference between paralysis and putting things off?
Yeah.
Why do people put things off?
I think paralysis is instincts.
Yeah.
And I think putting things off is the opposite of instincts. Not listening to your instincts.
That's interesting. Well, do you think we should always listen to our instincts?
More than we do now.
More than we do now.
I don't think many people listen to their instincts, actually. I think a lot of people say we do, but it's based on the things that are around us right now, like alcohol, drinking. And a lot of people think, like, oh, so many people are so animalistic. If you put them in a jungle, they couldn't survive.
I don't know if I think I agree with that, but I would like to add on.
Yeah.
I feel like you're right. Like, we could afford to listen to our instincts more, but I think for me and some immediate people that I do know, like, we listen so well to our instincts, but what do we do with that information? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we're going back to action. Like, you tell me, Jax, go grab me a glass of water. Yeah. I listen to it, but do I get up and get it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I think there has to be action within yourself first, too. That it's not only about doing something
externally.
It's also about internal, because instincts come from internal, so... And also from external sources, too, so...
Right.
So I think that's why maybe that's the thing that goes back to fear and being scared and being afraid,
Yeah.
Like, I think being scared and afraid is more based on what we are internally, and being fearful is more of what... Because it seems like it's more grand thing, being fearful. It's bigger, and it's like looking at the world and saying, oh my God. Or something like that, I guess.
I think I'm afraid that I'm going to leave all the time.
What do you mean? Leave?
Any kind of situation. So, but I can control that, right? Like, that's... And then I fear that the other party won't let me stay.
Well, that's gonna hit each other.
Yeah, it's gonna. And since we're getting close to that 45-minute mark, we passed it. I want to end with this poem. It's called Meditations on Triangles in the Early Morning Rain, and this is like a third draft. So, dead leaves float free like emotions with an equestrian discipline, cloistering patterns of liquid hardness lightly aligned with the borrowed warmth from your barefoot contesta. The momentary solitude of mental misfires hustle rational thought without furnishing proper connecting dots in return. The way deers chat on people's lawn at dusk in your hometown, where the rivers flow in the wrong direction and smell like sulfur. A town full of raw-boned cows and crocked roads, 20 churches and no bookstore to be found. On your bed, you sprawl out restlessly, thumbing my words, allowing them to permeate your mind, and decide that loneliness does not have to be absolute, for now, even just for now, but the physicality of words is stale in comparison to the acute peppery sweetness of freshly chopped emerald basil. Let me stay with the ease of watercolor.
Nice.
Any closing remarks?
Right when you said the word absolute, it reminded me of what I wrote too. Like, I loved it.
Everything's in dialogue with each other.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for having me again for the second time. I look forward to doing more roundtables with you.
Of course.
And
don't know if they're as round as that.
sometimes they're oval.
Yeah.
Or a triangle even.
Yeah.
But it's December 28th, 2012. We're almost coming to the end of the year.
Yep. This will be the last one for the year, so...
So, I'm glad to be on it with you.
Yeah.
Alright, thank you for listening.